Four Knights of the Apocalypse chapter 225 is officially out, and yes, this came out a whole day early. The digital release of the chapter came out on a Monday instead of a Tuesday, due to it being a holiday. So, hey, you get a video an entire day early. That is awesome. And what a chapter to give us early, because this was just another pounding down onto Cath in this instance, and just the fear of God being placed into this arrogant and petty SOB. But before we jump into this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and hype up the video to boost it in the algorithm to help support the channel and get more people to jump onto these videos and help support Four Knights of the Apocalypse even more. It helps, and it gives me more motivation to make some more content for the series as well going forward. And if you want to see more of me outside of this channel, go and check out my second channel, GW Comics, where I talk about American comic books. Right now, I'm in the DC Marvel space. I'm going to be doing some more stuff outside of those big publishers because, well, there's more than just Marvel and DC, so I'll look forward to some of that. It's a passion project, and I would really appreciate it if you guys go check it out. We just got over 1,000 subscribers last week, and the next milestone is going to be 5K, which hopefully I can get to that this year. So if you want to support that channel as well, go and check it out. Link in the description down below and in the title card up above. Now then, let's jump straight into this chapter. Chapter 225 of Four Knights of the Apocalypse, titled Not What Was Meant to Be. And the cover page is of the rest of the Sins fighting off the Chaosified for Perils. King is soloing Ironside and Beltrop, holding both of them off. Deanne is slamming against the Chaosified Pelguard, and Gowther's managing to hold off against the Chaosified Worldane. Honestly, really cool. I do hope that once the anime comes back, when this ends up being like the 4th season of the show, because this point in the manga is going to be season 4, I would really love to see at least half an episode with these Sins fighting off against the Perils to kind of space it out and give us more of the Sins fighting solo in this instance, because we didn't really get to see much of all these Sins fighting all at once. Deanne especially didn't really get to be shown in full fights during the sequel. King has had his fights, and same with Gowther. But I would really love to see these fights expanded upon to show how the Chaosified Perils stack up against them. And based off this image, not very well. And it shows that the Sins are still as strong as they were in the past, with the right matchups too. But we cut back to where last chapter left off, with Bon just pounding Cath into the ground, stepping on his back, after Meliodas and him just utterly humiliated him, with Cath just doing the stupidest thing possible and keep using magic attacks against Meliodas, as he just kept full countering them. But Cath is on the ground, and since Cath let the whole thing slip, Meliodas just got happy that it was Cath. It says, wow, it really is you, Cath. Super glad to hear that. Which Cath is just completely confused over what's going on, as Meliodas helps him back up and just says, I had the vague impression that you weren't the real Arthur. Just in terms of, well, losing your original mind and becoming a whole other person. Yeah, when you say it like that, it seems pretty obvious it wasn't Arthur to begin with. And Cath is still utterly confused at Meliodas' change of behavior, but all Bon does is have a grin on his face, as Meliodas gives that jovial smile saying, but it was you, huh, Cath? Boy, that was such a relief. And as Cath has this nervous smile, we hear a boom. And in the next page, we see Cath has a massive hole in his chest and a bloodied up dark demon aura fist from Meliodas, as the shock on his face from just having I'm just going to say it, he got his backside blown out. I'm going with that. That was hilarious. That's a lot more fun to say. But we just get this really cold line from Meliodas. Demon Mark back on in an instant says, now that I know it's not Arthur, I can bury your sorry hide without having to hold back at all. As he then dices up Cath to a multitude of different pieces, including his sword, with God Ripper, his demon-infused lost vein. As Meliodas says, now you'll know the pain of all the people you trampled over, you fiend. Now, honestly, this is what everyone expected to happen, with Meliodas just getting so happy that this isn't Arthur and that it's actually Cath to begin with. Really nice to show that Meliodas is just basically messing with Cath by being all happy that this is Cath and not Arthur, catching him completely off guard because Cath has no freaking idea why Meliodas is acting like this. Bon instantly knew what Meliodas was going to do. And just that nice cut to the massive hole placed in his chest just from Meliodas' sheer aura-infused fist is so satisfying. And to double that up with him just getting utterly shredded like cheese in this instance. Perfection. And you know what, just to make everybody laugh, here's a clip from Dragon Ball Z Abridged that I legitimately think perfectly encapsulates Meliodas' just whole demeanor towards Cath in this instance.
What I understand is I'm about to pound you so hard the boy's mother is going to be jealous.
Oh, can we not?
But jokes aside, back to the video, Cath is turned into shreds. But obviously, Chaos, he's still alive and he begins to regenerate. As he remarks, oh, so you're not holding back, huh? Well, I am gonna do just the same. As Cath finally reveals his full, true Chaos form. And as he's towering over Meliodas and Bond as the true monstrosity that he is. And honestly, this kind of looks a bit better than how he looked when he did his reveal, as we got a much clearer up-close picture of him in comparison to Meliodas and Bond. And we cut to the citizens of Camelot as Cath revealing his true form. They realized that they were tricked by this utter monstrosity this entire time, and it wasn't Arthur at all that they pledged their allegiance to and had faith in. So the curtain has fully dropped, and the mask is off. Everything, 100%, is out in the open. Which, finally, now we don't have to worry about any other pieces of confusion once the real Arthur comes into play later on, most likely. And King and Diane are shocked that it was Cath the entire time, again, because, to their knowledge, Arthur devoured the guy and made him basically a non-threat 18 years ago. But instead that the 4 Chaos 5 perils basically have what seems to be almost all of the chaos in them get removed, as Cath then grabs it and shapes it into a giant staff, as he calls it the Staff of Divine Manifestation, as he tells the Sins not to belittle his power, as he's taken up the stance as the King of Chaos right now, as he has the power of chaos to try and take them down. He's still, after that utter humiliation, now that he's in his full form, thinks that he's going to be able to take out the Sins now, which, if I was Cath, I would be a bit more cautious, but I would also be kind of cocky as well. But then in a double-page spread, Cath makes the situation 1,000 times worse for everyone else, as he unleashes a surge of chaos, unleashing a number of chaos beasts all around the outskirts of Leonis, as they begin attacking all the Holy Knights and the citizens. And they can't do much about it. Nazianz begins to step up, though, in order to use the sacred tree so she can protect the citizens of Leonis. Unleashes the second spear form of Chastifold with the Spirit Spear, but the Percival Spear just basically springs off of this giant Chaos Frog as it knocks Nazianz back with On catching her. And just as the two of them were about to get stomped on by this Chaos Frog, Ground Gladius appears, stabbing right through the frog creature, as Diane and King come right over to help their daughter. And it's kind of adorable that Nazianz kind of just calls out to Mom when she sees Diane. I kind of like it. But more chaos creatures try to lunge at them, but then King interferes with Fight Fire with Fire. Now I think this is one of those unfinished panels because, yeah, we had a bunch of holes in all of these creatures, but I feel like Nakba probably wanted to add in the increase of Chastifold, one of its forms where it just turns into a bunch of mini spears, in order to be in the background and stuff like that, but I guess probably didn't have much time with how this chapter is very detail heavy, especially with Cath in it. But either way, it fits. King utterly obliterated these chaos beasts with no issue, as now On and Nazianz are together with King and Diane as they have protected them. And based off of that, this kind of shows that with the chaos outside of the 4 perils in this instance, they are probably at a commission for the time being. So hopefully King has them kind of secure somewhere, or Gother, since Gother's not there, probably is using his mental magic abilities to kind of probe away some of the chaos in their minds, or to check if they are in fact still, well, themselves or under the influence of Cath. Because if they're not, then perhaps the other Isolde and Theodora can jump in and help get Beltrop and Ironside back on their side, and Gother can probably help with Pelgard and Worldbane as well, and to get them away from Cath before Cath basically infuses them with chaos again, for all we know. Because this could be the chance for the 4 perils to break free from Cath. But I don't think it's going to be that easy, because it would just feel way too convenient in this instance. Nazianz and King have a telepathic conversation as she asks for her father to help the others. King, obviously blushing because his daughter is asking for his help, says, "Alright, you can leave this to your good old dad," with Deanne just kind of giggling in the background, just seeing King shift into his old fart mode, which I still find hilarious that he gets like that when his emotions are just all over the place, acting like a nervous dad trying to show off to his kid. I love it. It's hilarious, and I want to see more of goofy dad King in this instance. But as he's about to unleash the fourth form of Chastityfold, all of a sudden the chaos creatures around them begin abducting the citizens and capturing all of them, as Cath is maniacally laughing at Meliodas and Bon, saying, "So, what are you going to do now? It's over for you guys. Do you have the guts to kill your kin along with me?" But someone jumps off of Cath's head. And in this awesome double-page spread, we see it was Bon as he unleashes his sacred treasure, the Holy Staff, Corchus, with his super concentration ability. And with that, he locks on to all the chaos creatures and then unleashes Assault Hunt, and in the radius all around the kingdom, completely destroys all of the chaos creatures Cath brought onto the scene. And this is honestly the best thing about Bon's Sacred Treasure, increasing his reach to such a wide degree. We saw him do this towards the end of Seven Deadly Sins when they were fighting the Demon King, when he sent this giant Chimera Endureth creature that was spreading its spores all across Leonis and Britannia as a whole. But Bon's Sacred Treasure allowed him to just use his abilities to extend and eradicate all but, well, one of them, because that ended up going towards where Escanor was. But still, Bon has probably the widest range out of all the sins outside of King, which is still really amazing. And I love seeing stuff like this. And the page that shows Assault Hunt is amazing. Just this ring of explosive blood as Bon just basically saved everybody with no effort. No matter what, the glaze people will have for Bon will be immeasurable. Now, obviously, it's because Escanor isn't in the story and doing Escanor things, but Bon deserves all of the credit and glaze and hype when it comes to just anything he does in terms of action. But Cath ain't having none of it and is getting incredibly frustrated. He then grabs Bon with his Chaos right arm, slams him into the ground, saying he's sick of all the distractions, and begins to stab Bon with his divine manifested staff, just shouting, "Just die," over and over and over again. But Bon then breaks through Cath's staff and his hands, slashing at his eyes. But Cath regenerates as Bon, staring him down, says, "Chaos-driven healing kind of thing, right? You really are a monster, huh?" But then we get this awesome panel from Cath's perspective as we get this demonically looking grin on Bon's face in all silhouette, staring down at Cath, as Cath just thinks to Bon, "Who the hell is the monster here?" As Bon just puts the utter fear of God into Cath, as in the final page of the chapter, in one quick blow, slams Cath straight to the ground, as the chapter ends. Now look, I am not gonna lie, I said this last chapter, and I'm going to say it again here. While this was a fantastic action-focused chapter showing Bon and Meliodas just, again, humiliate Cath, and basically disarm anything and everything Cath does in this instance, something's going to happen. Whether it be an outside force coming and just basically saving Cath at the last minute, or Cath just realizing something new about chaos that he didn't realize before, because he didn't have a full grasp on it and doesn't have the full scope of its power, since Arthur has the other piece of it. Because the sins are humiliating him. They're saving everybody. There are no casualties. There are no losses on the hero's side. Maybe getting banged up in terms of the other holy knights and Nazians and on, but in comparison to the sins, they're not really doing anything, and they held off the 4 perils by themselves. So, what is going to happen? That is the main question right now, because something has to happen, and this also kind of confirms that Cath might not actually be the final antagonist of Four Knights of the Apocalypse, despite all the build-up and scheming he has done throughout the series. Or maybe he'll have some sort of failsafe. Who knows? But all I know is, things are going too smoothly, and something has to go wrong. And I really do hope that whatever Nakaba has planned to kind of flip this section of the arc on its head, and then put all of the weight and focus onto the 4 knights while they're away, it has to be something big, and it also has to not feel like an ass pull. Because when you have moments like this, when you have the main antagonist of a story get utterly mollywopped by the previous generation in a story about the next generation that is supposed to overtake them eventually, you gotta do something creative, interesting, or just something that makes complete sense for the monstrosities that are the sins, the previous generation, to get defeated or have to make a draw or have them run away. Because if you can't do that to solidify the threat of Cath, the main antagonist, or some other force that comes in, then it'll just feel like a waste of time for the entirety of the series for the fighting to kind of be, well, put on hold for the most part, for head-to-head conflict between the two big powerhouses of each force. But that's just my thoughts. Hopefully within the next couple of chapters we will see how this arc pans out and what Cath will do to deal with the sins, because right now he is terrified of them. He is way out of his depth, and despite him having the power of chaos, the sins are still insanely powerful, and they have not lost a single dose of their strength during this era of peace for a few years before Cath started to do all the abductions and stuff like that. So, yeah, the sins are still strong, if not maybe stronger than they were at the end of the Chaos arc at the end of 7 Deadly Sins, but we still gotta wait and see what is going to happen next. But with all that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and hype up the video to boost in the algorithm if you have not already. Helps a lot to show you guys support the channel and everything I do here, and helps show it to other people so that they can come and check this series out as well. And once more, let me know your thoughts on this arc as a whole so far, and what you think will happen next. And with all that said and done, hope you all have an awesome day.